AI, by every definition, is an idol, for it is made in the image of human thought. And it is written, "You do not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands through those who love me and guard my commands." Notice that making these images are those who hate him. Now, AI, if you read articles about it, it shows you that AI is made in the image of human intelligence, breaking the command found in Exodus and in Deuteronomy. Notice here in this article it says, and I quote, "And it's in this very sense that we can say that AI is made in the image of humans." Here's another article. "Can machines become human? One of the goals of current AI research is to create what is called artificial general intelligence. It is a computer intelligence that matches or surpasses human ability in many cognitive tasks." Wikipedia says artificial general intelligence is called human level AI, replacing humans with artificial superintelligence, which can outperform the best human abilities. Here's another article. "Made in Our Image, the Rise of Artificial Intelligence." Modern artificial intelligence is remarkable. They go on and talk about how all of this stuff is great, but it breaks the commands. Human-like intelligence. Chinese scientists find first evidence that AI could think like a human. These are things we are commanded not to do, and we have done. And he says that he will visit the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. In every instance in Hebrew, when you spell out the word AI, it has to do with something evil or something destructive. For example, Strong's 5856, I, which comes from avah. It means a ruin, as if overturned. And avah, the Hebrew word, means to bow down, to make crooked, commit iniquity, pervert, perverse, or trouble, to do wickedly. So it shows that AI is something that is evil or perverse. Now, I want to go into the other spellings of AI, but first let's look at AI is considered a crown or a wreath, like the headdresses that were worn in ancient Rome and other civilizations. Notice here the false deity Serapis is wearing this headdress on his head. He is a blend of two false deities, Osiris, which we know as Nimrod. There's many connections between Osiris and Nimrod and being resurrected by Semiramis. Now, notice the head of Osiris here has this serpent coming out of his forehead, right where the third eye would be. This helmet, of course, on top of his head. Does this helmet represent some type of ancient technology that controls or gives thoughts or makes them more intelligent than normal humans? Now, Osiris ended up being this syncretized deity later called Serapis. He wore a headdress called a modius. The modius headdress, as you see here, has a little man inside of the third eye, a mind inside of the mind giving thoughts, and there is a wreath around it. We know that AI is a reef, as we've seen earlier. This word, modius, if you look at the etymology of this word, it comes from Latin modius or modus. Modus is a Proto-Italic modus, and now Old Armenian means thought. But it comes from the word med, like you hear today, media. Media gives men information. This headdress giving advice, giving healing, all the things that are promised by AI, giving advice to you. Like Zuckerberg touting the potential of superintelligence and these glasses. This glasses, when you look at things, can tell you what it is if you do not know what it is. So these helmets could be worn and tell you what everything is, so you'll know everything. You'll be like the Most High to know good and evil. Now, going back to this headdress here, you can see in the ancient depictions that most of these false deities wore these type of headdresses. Like in ancient Egyptian, here is King Tut with the serpent coming out of his third eye, showing that the serpent, like in the garden, that promised, if you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will be like the Most High, knowing everything. They use a play on words, I believe, with their third eye atlas here, the three-eye atlas. Well, the third eye atlas would be a map of the third eye. Mapping man's conscience is what they are doing as we speak. Going back to this modius, which we've seen is on the head of this person, is like a medium to receive information from. AI is a medium. Notice in the word that it comes from the word med or med. We know this as medical today, pharmakeia. Notice here it says to give advice. People are seeking advice from AI right now, asking all sorts of questions, helping them do their work, everything. You name it, people are asking it. But it also means judgment, and it is here right now. The Old Armenian showed that it meant mind or intellect, like intelligence. And you can see here, they're touting it as
bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Elon Musk said, perhaps our new God will come from where he has his AI Grok, which is in Memphis. And Memphis goes back to the deity Ptah, which connects back to Hephaestus, who is the false god of AI. All this stuff's interconnected. Now let's go back to the word AI. I'm going to show you that AI, whether you spell it with ayin or aleph, they both have a negative meaning. As we've seen already, AI is spelled ayin yod, and it means a ruin. It comes from avah. Avah means, to do crookedness, wickedness, iniquity. But AI can also be spelt with aleph. Aleph yod, which means how, what, went, where. It's used several times. It comes from ayin. Interestingly enough, the word ayin sounds like the word or the letter ayin, which means eye. This word means whence or where, like when you look for something in a sense of a query, like people are looking for answers of what, when, where. Now, this word also means an island or a coast. In Job, it's used as the word not, through the idea of query, not, island. Now let's look at Job real quick. Now notice here in Job 22:30, 2-3, he will even deliver one who is not AI, innocent. And yes, he will be delivered by the purity of your hands. So notice the word Ai again is not. So Ai here means not, as we just seen. Same spelling. AI 338, I. Pronounced I just like the original AI is pronounced I. Go back to that. So I, 338I, means a jackal or a wolf, a howler. This is a demon. All right, so we're going to go into Isaiah 13:22, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. That I here is Ayim, which means plural. There's more than one of them. And in Jeremiah and in Isaiah, it's referring to a demon. All right, so if we start in Isaiah 13:9, behold, the day of Yahuwah comes, cruel and both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and its sinful he will destroy from it. So this is the judgment day. It goes on and says, where the stars of the heaven will not give their light, the sun will be darkened. We see this in Revelation. The moon will not give its light. And he's going to punish the world for its evil, for its ra'ah, and all the wicked for their iniquity. And I will make mortal man rarer than fine gold. So, like Messiah said, if those days hadn't been shortened, then no flesh would survive. Now I'm paraphrasing that, but I'm going to keep going through this. It shows the wrath of Yahweh on the earth. And this is the judgment of Babylon. See? And the glory of Babylon, the pride of the Chaldeans, when it overthrown like Sodom and Gomorrah. And it says, never will it be inhabited again. This is, in Revelation you see this too. But now here's what it talks about being indwelled by demons. And we're going to look at Revelation to go along with this. It's the judgment of Babylon, the whore. Alright? She made the whole world drunk with her abominations. And this is when they all become of one mind, like they're trying to become one with AI right now. And now it goes on and says, Babel is fallen, has become a dwelling place of demons. Now that comes from Isaiah, because right here it says becomes a dwelling place. The wild beasts of the desert will be in their houses. The wild beast is a desert dweller, a creature, right? Wild beasts of the desert. Now we're going to look at some of these other words. An owl is always associated with an unclean spirit, right? A creature of the night, a howler, a doleful creature. You're going to see that AI is put in that same category. Now, ostriches, another daughter of the owl, unclean bird, unclean spirits, talking about demons. Wild goats, the se'er. Now this is a devil. See it right there? Devil. We're talking about demons being fully indwelled with demons. Same thing they're saying here in Revelation. Unclean and hated bird. These unclean birds are assembled with this ostriches. Now, AI is mentioned in that. It says jackals. And will have the jackals, the Aim, in their citadels. Now let's go back to the word AI again. And I don't believe in coincidences, so what I'm about to show you is a connection between this word AI, which is spelled Aleph Yod, which I believe this is Yahuwah's hand of judgment. In the Odeo, that's what I believe this means, because how else could it be not, or it can mean jackal? Because all of this is happening, is all under the control of Yahuwah's hand. Whether bad or good, Yahweh is in control of everything. These evildoers think they're fighting against Yahweh. There is no fighting against Yahweh. He is in control of all of it. Now, and I want to make sure that's clear to a lot of people, because a lot of people, oh, well, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're only allowed to do what Yahweh allows them to do. Hashatan, when he came to present himself before Yahweh in the book of Job, he asked Yahweh, he said, remove your hand, please, and see if he don't curse you to your face. He said, please. And so Yahweh allowed Hashatan to go and afflict Job. Now, the interesting thing about the name Ayub, we'll get into that later, it actually starts with those two letters. And even though it's Yahweh's hand, it's also AI in man's tent. I want to go to that later and show you that. But first I want to show you what you would look at. First I want to show you what you would think would be coincidence, but I believe it's placed there on purpose so we'll know the relationship between these two words. So 339 AI comes from avah, right? Avah, which means to covet, which is a sin, right? What happened with Eve? She coveted the power that she was going to receive from the tree, and she took of it. Now, AI, spelled with ayin, comes from the word avah as well. See that? I comes from avah, and I comes from avah. Now, avah in this sense means to do amiss, be crooked, to do perversely, to do wrong. Same thing of coveting, to covet something, greedy, see who have been greedy. So both of these have negative, sinful results from it. You have I from avah, and then you have I from avah. That is not a coincidence. Showing the relationship between the two. Now, going on, the word Ayab, which is where the word Ayub comes from, means an enemy. It means someone who is persecuted, to be an enemy. Now, same spelling, Ayab, means hating or an adversary. You can see it's using all these things as an enemy. This is AI in man's tent, because the bet means tent, AI tent, an adversary. Abah, spelt Aleph, Yod, Bet, Hey, is AI in the tent of spirit, means enmity, hatred. And this was used in Genesis 3:15 when he was talking between the serpent and Eve. I will put enmity, Abah, between thee and the woman. Another thing about AI is Ayah. Ayah, see that? And then Ayah is spelled almost identical to that word, Ayah. See, Ayah, and then you go up here, and you have Ayah spelled the same way right there. Now you have Ayin 5871, which is Ayin Yod Nun. It means eye, spring, or fountain. Now you have Ayin spelled Aleph Yod Nun, means eye, spring, or fountain. Not a coincidence. Let us look at other words with the word AI in them and the connections that they make. First, Yahusha, when he talked about the end, he had this to say, and as the days of Noach, so also shall be the coming of the son of Adam be. For as they were in the days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and giving into marriage, until the day Noach entered into the ark. And they did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also shall the coming of the son of Adam be. First, in the days of Noach, the only ones mentioned being married were the sons of Elohim in Genesis chapter 6. the daughters of men, and the messengers given into marriage. The flood was on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and the word for 40 right is in the middle of the word, starting with the word Arab. Arab means to lie in ambush or wait, to lurk. Ai, lurking. Now, interestingly, in Genesis chapter 7:11, it was in the second month when the flood was on the earth. The second month is the month of Air, starting with Aleph Yod again, is when the earth was flooded. Now I'm going to do another video about the 40 days and 40 nights that will dive deep into the connections of AI, the future prophecy of the end, and the 40 days and 40 nights. Going back. The month of Adar, which is what they call the second month now, is Yahweh's hand against the hand of wickedness, or works of wickedness. And notice right here there is a hand against a hand. So Yahweh's hand is against the hand of man's wickedness, because that's what this is, man's wicked thoughts. Just as what happened during the flood, Yahweh's hand was against the wickedness of man on the earth. And now Ayub, we've seen before, is Yahweh's hand on man's tent. And that's where man wants to be. That's where we all want to be. It's with Yahweh's hand on us. But this also could mean Yahweh's judgment on man's tent. In the book of Ayub, Hashatan goes to present himself before Yahuwah, and basically Yahuwah asked him if he knew about his servant Ayub, who was a righteous man who walked with Elohim. But Satan said, does he worship you for naught? You bless the work of his hands on all sides. Well, then Hashatan says to Yahuwah, but stretch out your hand, please, and strike all that he has. Would he not curse you to your face? Now, this word for stretch out in this passage is shalak, right here. Stretch out is how they normally translate that. But that word is actually means to forsake. So, like the tree makes Yahweh forsake, for when Israel was forsaken, then all the enemies came and destroyed them. And the same thing with Ayub. When Ayub did not have the hand of Yahweh on him anymore, then Ayub was stricken by Sheba. Like the first thing that ever happened was Sheba came, which like they're saying now, Sheba in you, which means like the 7 demons in you. All right, so that when Ayub was in Hashatan's hand, which it says here, see all that he has in your hand. You have the word Ai here, and this is Yahweh's judgment, which is going out across the earth right now. And we'll get into that. So AI, right? AI is made up of a language. The language is called Python. AI is the manifested word of Satan. It's a manifested word written in Python, which we know is the serpent, Nakash. Now this is in your hand. The power of Satan is what AI is. The power of the world's word. And that, but you have to understand that it still is Yahweh's judgment, because man is disobedient and laid into the hand of Hashatan because of it. Now, Ayub, right after all this affliction came upon him, he made this statement: naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. Yahweh has given, and Yahweh has taken away. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. Notice, no matter all this other evil came upon him, it is Yahweh who is in control. This is what we need to understand. All the prophecies were told about what is happening right now with man. Yahweh told us so that we wouldn't be giving precedence to other things, thinking they're doing it. Okay, he's telling us, if you keep his commandments, none of this stuff will be happening right now. But we wouldn't be making idols, for sure. Now, it goes on, when Hashatan came back, he says again, have you considered my servant Ayub, that there's none like him on the earth, a perfect and straight man, one who fears Elohim and turns aside from evil. And still he holds fast to his integrity, although you have incited me against him. Notice, it is Yahweh's power. And it says, to destroy him, right here, without a cause. And so you see that this judgment is coming upon man, but once again, Yahweh is in control, not Hashatan. Now here's some more verses of Ayub that shows about the hand of Yahweh. Like chapter 12, verse 9, who among these does not know that the hand of Yahweh has done this? In whose hand is the life of all that live, and the breath of all mankind? So Yahweh is in control of everything. Now, it goes on in chapter 16, he says, he has torn in his wrath. He hates me, he has gnashed at me with his teeth. My adversaries sharpen his eyes upon me. They open wide their mouths at me. In scorn they have stricken my cheeks. They amassed together against me. El has handed me over to the perverse and cast me into the hands of the wrong. Like we were looking at earlier, when he's handed into the hand of Hashatan, this technology that they've created, right? The power of Hashatan. And going on down in Job chapter 29, and Job took up his discourse and said, oh, that I were in the months past, in the days when Aloha protected me, when his lamp shone on my head, when I walked in the dark by his light. As I was in the days of my, now autumn is actually prime, in the days of my prime, when the intimacy of Aloha was on my tent. His tent is his body. When Yahweh's hand was on him, he was protected, but without the hand, not protected. Now in Job chapter 30, you see this. You have become cruel to me with the power of your hand, you oppose me. Now in verse 24 it says this, yet does not one in a heap of ruins stretch out his hand, or in calamity cry out for help. The word here for heap of ruins, you can see right here in a heap of ruins, bet ai, N-A-I. Does not a man in Ai cry out for help? And now Ai is the grave, like Sheol. Same thing when we look at Ai in the book of Yahusha, chapter 7, verse 2, it's spelled gay, as in Gehanom. Now, it goes on to say, I become a brother of jackals and a companion of ostriches. These are demons. I become a brother of demons. Because of this, being in a heap of ruins, I become a brother of jackal and a companion of ostriches. Now, where in Scripture do we see the ostriches and the jackals? Well, we see that in Isaiah chapter 13, verse 21. But will lie there, the wild beasts of the desert, and will be full of their houses. See, in their dwelling place will dwell, like he's saying back here, I'll become a brother of jackals and a companion of ostriches. Right? We see right here ostriches and the wild goats. Now that wild goats is a se'er, that's a devil. And then next verse it says, and will howl the jackals. Now look how jackals spelled here. Aim in the citadels with the tanim, which is jackals again. Jackals, man made into a jackal, aims, and tanim. Tanim is a jackal, a serpent, or a dragon. Going back to the word for 40 comes from the Hebrew word H702, which means four things, or fourth, or four-sided. Another word that uses the word Ai at the beginning is commonly translated as Jezebel. She was the evil witch wife of King Ahab. Her name is a compound word containing Ai, Strong's 336, which we've seen means not, but also can mean woe or a jackal, like we've seen before. A jackal, a demonic, remember we were seeing that earlier, that these are demons. So this woman possessed with a demon, and then another part of her name is Zabul. You have the Zayin letter in the middle, which means to arm or means a sword. Ai, a sword of the mind. The word Baal means mind or heart. She is possessed with a demon. This goes along very well with all the witches of the past who were like the Pythia, the demon spirits of old. Like Pythia was indwelled with a demon. Paul cast one out in Acts. And if you look at the modius that we talked about earlier, most of the time it was women who wore this on their head. This wreath around their head, with deities like this one had the same hat. And then the word genius. Now we hear people calling AI genius right now. So what was the genius? Well, the genius was a guardian angel, okay, that would follow each man from the hour of his birth until the day he died. These are household guardian spirits. So these aren't good spirits, okay? So they're always associated with these deities that wore the modius, these geniuses. All right. Now you hear them say genius all the time.
Around the globe, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. I find that too. Artificial, I can't stand it. I don't even like the name. You know, I don't like anything that's artificial. So could we straighten that out, please? We should change the name. I actually mean that. I don't like the name artificial anything, because it's not artificial. It's genius. It's pure genius. It's pure genius.
This genius was the mother of Hephaestus, Juno. Hephaestus was the robots of Hephaestus was a metaphor for artificial intelligence. Stanford researcher examines the earliest concepts of artificial intelligence robots in ancient myths, thousands of years before machine learning and self-driving cars became a reality. The tales of a giant bronze robot, Talos, artificial women, Pandora, and their creator god, Hephaestus. Greek myth, Hephaestus and Daedalus incorporated the idea of intelligent robots and artificial beings like Pandora. Pandora's box, once you open it, you cannot close it, but they sacrificed to demons and not Eloha. Elohim not did they know, new gods, new arrivals, not did they fear your fathers. We know that AI is the curse, for cursed is a man who hangs upon a tree. And the first person that was ever hung by Yasharel on a tree was the king of AI in Joshua, Yahusha, chapter 8.